Well, hello once again, dear viewer. 'Tis Unclejona here, and I've got a beer review for you. And this one is from the Balkans, and I'm not 100% sure which of the Balkans. Let me just do a check. Serbia, apparently. Nice, one of the unusual ones. And there's nothing in the magazine about the brewery, as usual. I had high hopes for a while, and then yeah, kind of went a bit pear-shaped, but never mind. There is Tron Brewery, and this beer is called Hugo. It's a session IPA, a style which I just don't get. I kind of get, but it's silly. And there's lots of kind of meat. I think it looks like a meat hanging up in the Hugo's window. That makes sense. There we go, and it is a Pivo Sadrizi. God, what the hell does that mean? I have no clue. So we got barley. Oh, okay. We haven't got anything. Oh, yeah. Look, there you go. So we've got Pilsner malt, Dextrin malt, wheat. We've got oats. And the hops are Simcoe Eldorado. And it even says the yeast, AY4, whatever that may mean. And it's also been brewed by the Garden Brewery, fantastic brewery out of Croatia. That's one of the breweries I know. I don't think I've ever heard of Tron. I've heard of the movie, of course, but I haven't heard of the brewery. Cool. You know what? I picked the beer up and I looked at it and I thought it said Tran, and I was thinking, oh, but Tron, even better. I like that. Right, I'm opening this one a bit carefully. And yeah, I should have noticed. Look, it's absolutely full to the very brim. It has dripped a bit on my trousers, and I haven't got. I have not got the bandana because that's in my other shorts. I was out the other day, so it could have been better. The start to this video. Jesus, why are all these beers leaking so much? What is going on? Is it something to do with the Garden Brew? I don't think I've had this problem before. And this beer has been in the fridge for a long time, so oh, look at that bit of kind of stuff in there. Yeah, they seem to kind of jizz down the side of the can when I'm pouring it, which is annoying. Anyway, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bit of kind of floating vapor within that bad boy because of the way I had to pour it. We're looking at a 2-finger head, at least. Hopefully that is going to disappear quite soon. But yeah, that's looking proper. And this is a session IPA. Oh, I didn't tell you the strength, did I? Which I usually do. 4%. So definitely a pale ale, not an IPA at all. For me, session IPA is not a thing. It does not exist. And I'm beginning to think that cold IPA thing is basically nonsense as well. But at least those tend to be actual proper IPAs. Won't be long before they're doing cold session IPA, and what they basically mean is it's kind of a lager, or it's had a lagering process, maybe like a Kolsch or something like that. Who knows? Anyway, let's see what we're getting from this bad boy. So Eldorado and Simcoe, interesting. I'm definitely getting a kind of juicy, citrusy type thing. But there's also, I was going to say tropical, but it isn't tropical. It's kind of more stone fruity type thing. I guess that's from the Eldorado. I can't quite remember. But Simcoe is definitely the juicy one. And interestingly, this has got some Dextrin Malt in, and I've said that before on the channel. Dextrin Malt plays a little bit, and for me, it gives that added kind of chalkiness. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that works. But there is wheat and oats in here as well. So which way is it going to go? Is it going to go creamy, or is it going to go kind of a bit more chalky? Don't know. We shall see. Cheers and beers to you, dear viewer. Sorry I haven't uploaded for a while. but I got absolutely hammered the other day. I went to the Royston celebration thing on Wednesday, and then I ended up at the Mind the Gap, which was good. And they still had some of the custard beers on, including the strong one. So I had another one of those. And yeah, when you drink an 11% beer and you've already had like 10 beers, yeah, the next day was me going, "Ugh, shouldn't do that. I can't do that these days. I'm old lush, really. You know, you know how we do things. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Old Lush channel with me, Uncle Jonah. Think about subscribing, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully, you'll find that this is a beer review, but also entertainment to you guys. So, yeah, let's see what we make of this one. Cheers and beer. Interesting. Yes. So up front, there is that kind of chalky dextrin thing, but it's really up front. And then I was thinking, oh, there's some hops there as well. And it's the stone fruit goes very much first, and then we go a little bit into citrus. But weirdly, it's not as juicy as I thought it would be for a so-called IPA, of course, which is rubbish. Um, yeah, there's not enough hops in here either to call it. So not strong enough and not enough hops to be an IPA. So nice pale ale, but this is definitely not an IPA. Yeah, this is really interesting actually. So the Dextrin Malt, yeah, it gives a little bit of sharpness. I've called it kind of chalkiness to the malt profile of the beer. Unfortunately, not many hops in here at all, or none that I can work out. I'm lucky I had it in the fridge because it didn't explode, but it definitely kind of popped out the top. So those of you that said, "Oh, you should have left it out and it would have been more kind of hoppy," you may be right, but then it definitely would have exploded into the air, and I don't like that. So I will sacrifice the hop purely because I don't want beer all over the ceiling. Um, it's weird. So apparently there's some oats and wheat in here. Um, it's not a real creamy beer though. So I think the dextrin malt has definitely overtaken any potential creaminess that would have been there from the oats and yeah, and the wheat. I think sometimes brewers and breweries, instead of doing due diligence, ooh, first beer of the night as well, uh, do diligence and look at their recipes. They have like a base recipe for a certain beer. So this is a session IPA. So I reckon they've probably got a set malt bill and go, yeah, well, you know, this is the way we do it usually. And then they add bits to it and then they take little bits away from it too. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a more hazy beer, but they've just added a bit of the dextrin in. Don't know. But yeah, I'm not fully impressed with the malt side of this beer. Um, I mean, it's pleasant enough. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I've had one too many beers, and by that I mean far too many beers, um, to know what kind of breweries, what games they try and play sometimes. And this is not a bad beer, but it's just one too many things that have kind of annoyed me about it, mainly because of the use of the names and that kind of thing. Let's finish it off. Let's see what we get. Okay, so there were a bit of floating particle type things, and they obviously settled out a bit. So that last, yeah, that last sip had a bit of bitterness, a bit of sourness to it. Yeah, stone fruit kind of way, I guess. If that had been nicely distributed through the whole beer, perhaps it would have been, or given the illusion perhaps of it being a little bit more hoppy than it was. But yeah, it wasn't an IPA. I know you're going to say, oh, session IPA is not IPA. Well, if it's not, then why put IPA in the title? I know why you're doing it, because you're doing it to try and sell more beer. But you shouldn't be doing that. You should. What do they say? The cream always floats to the top. So if you spent more time on your recipe building and making good beers, you wouldn't have to worry about marketing so much. If that makes sense. Not a bad beer, but not a good beer either. Um, There we go. That was the Hugo Session IPA from Tron Brewery. I'm not sure if I've got any other beers from the Tron Brewery, but I've definitely got some more from the Garden Brewery. So we'll see what we get from those ones. This has been Unclejona, drinking beer, talking old toot purely for your entertainment. That's the only reason I really do this, apart from, getting a little bit of a buzz off the beer. Please return, come back, all that kind of jazz, because I'll have another beer review, and that's coming up real soon.